is Matthew Pfeiffer with mattpfeiffercoaching.com. Welcome to my YouTube channel. On this channel, I make videos about toxic, narcissistically abusive relationships. And if you have a question that you want me to answer here on this channel, make sure you send it to justaskmatt at mattpfeiffercoaching.com. Again, that is justaskmatt at mattpfeiffercoaching.com. Just make sure you keep the email 2 to 3 paragraphs max, and you're very direct and to the point of what your question actually is. Because I do get a lot of emails, and if it's too long, if it's too lengthy, or if I don't understand what you're asking, unfortunately, I will not be able to get to it. Also, make sure you hit the subscribe notification. Also, make sure you hit the bell notification so you're notified each and every time I upload a new video. I upload new videos to YouTube 5 days a week, Monday through Friday. So with that being said, let's get into this email. So this email reads, when you said that the relationship could get worse if the narcissist seeks counseling, did you mean that they would weaponize the process against the codependent? So this person who's writing, I know this person. They attend quite a lot of my lives and a lot of other things that I do. So for you as well, right? For you that are watching, if you guys want to participate in different trainings that I do, you are welcome to do that. All of those links are down below. However, this person was attending one of my trainings, and I mentioned how narcissists can actually get worse when they go to therapy. And so that is true. Narcissists can get worse when they go to therapy for multiple reasons, especially if we're talking about a covert narcissist, right? Quite often, a covert narcissist, when anyone goes to therapy, you have to be willing to address your own insecurities, your own needs, and you have to be willing to talk about and be vulnerable about things that are very difficult, right? Unhealed trauma and that sort of thing. Well, with the narcissist, quite often they don't want to do that, right? Not only do they not want to do that, but quite often when they do go to therapy, especially in couples therapy, it's more likely that they will begin to triangulate the therapist and weaponize the therapist against you to make everything all about you, especially if the therapist is not aware of narcissistic behavior, if they are easily triangulated themselves, if they don't see it, because not every therapist is going to see it. Not every therapist is aware or has the knowledge of narcissism and things of that nature. So you have to be careful there. But the other part to it that you have to be aware of when we're talking about a narcissist in therapy is that quite often, instead of them acknowledging some of their own bad behavior, quite often it lets the narcissist know what parts of their mask are starting to crack and what parts of their mask are starting to slip. So for example, let's just say that you say that the narcissist does not help out around the house whatsoever, and they make you do all the work. You have to do everything with the kids. You're paying all the bills, and I'm just throwing out an example, a real quick, easy example. Rather than the narcissist actually doing any of the work, and let's say that you have gone 2 weeks without going to the therapist, right? So they still won't do anything throughout the time between the time that you left the therapy office and when you actually go back. But then they'll do the dishes, they'll do everything the night before you go to therapy. And you'll see narcissists do this with court as well, with custody, and they won't do anything for a long period of time until the week of, until the night before, right? At the 29th, at the 12th hour, so to speak. And what will happen is that once you go into therapy, guess what happens? When you sit down and you talk about how you open up and you say, yeah, it's been the same exact way, the same thing that we talk about every single week. It's the same behavior that's happening. And as the codependent, quite often you're not articulating your needs and articulating your boundaries and things like that, because there's a lot of blurred lines in the relationship and things like that. And so what will the narcissist do? What do you mean I didn't do anything? Just last night I did the dishes. Just last night I cleaned up the room. Did I not do that? Right? And this is a form of gaslighting. And so as the codependent, you're like, yeah, you did, but like you know, that was like the only time and such time. And then what does the narcissist do? They start to flip it. And they start to play victim. They throw their hands up. See, therapist? See, they're just so unappreciative. This is what I'm talking about. I do things and they're just so unappreciative. I can't do anything right. Then guess what? Now what just happened? You were just triangulated against the therapist, right? And the therapist now starts to talk to you about being more appreciative toward the narcissist. And what happens, right? Look at how the power dynamic just switched, how it just flipped. So it's more likely that the therapist, that narcissist will weaponize therapy, right? Even if they go independently, right? See, I'm going to therapy, I just can't make you happy, right? And so, but they don't truly have any desire for true actual change whenever they go to a therapist. And so that is how narcissists, those are just some quick examples, right? There's multiple examples of how they can triangulate the therapist, but those are some quick examples of how they'll triangulate the therapist, how they can weaponize therapy, how they will go to therapy but still won't change, how they will go to therapy, see elements of their mask that's starting to crack and use it as manipulation towards you, towards the therapist, towards people around them. They will brag about to everyone else, I did everything I could to try to save this relationship. I even went to therapy. I'm still in therapy, and there's nothing I could do to please them. I did everything I possibly could, but behind the scenes, that they haven't done anything, that they're not actually putting in any work. So it's very difficult, and quite often the only person who's able to see it are the people who are actually living in the house and the adults, right? You as a codependent. So you have to validate your feelings through this process. So this was a great question. Thank you very much for writing in. And once again, for those of you who would like to write in, if you have a question for me, send it to justaskmatt@mattpfeiffercoaching.com. Again, that is justaskmatt@mattpfeiffercoaching.com. Make sure you keep the email 2 to 3 paragraphs max. You're very direct and to the point of what your question actually is. However, the fastest way to get in touch with me and the fastest way to work with me is go down to the links below. You can grab one of my courses, but also you can be a part of my Toxic to Triumph community. I have consistent trainings and webinars, and you won't be just connecting with myself. You'll be connecting with people in my network, other coaches, other therapists. You'll be able to ask us questions as we're recording my podcast. You will go into a Q&A session right after that. And so it's a way that people can connect with one another. You can also connect with me and also connect with a lot of other people that you might follow on other platforms as well, also including here on YouTube. So thank you very much. Until then, I will see you in the next video.